Good morning. Thank you for watching my first video of Izumo Taisha Shrine, which I shot 6 months ago. This time, I would like to introduce you to something as different as possible from the previous Izumo Taisha Shrine video. This is a guide to worshipping at Izumo Taisha Shrine, starting from here at Inasanahama Beach. Inasanahama is a shallow beach to the west of Izumo Taisha Shrine, where the sunset over the Sea of Japan is beautiful. This is the beach where the Kamimuka Shinji ritual is held to welcome the millions deities from all over the country on 10th October of the lunar calendar, called Kamiarizuki in Izumo. Here is also an important place in the second half of the Izumo myth, in the first history book Kojiki, where the deity Takemikosu Tsunamikoto descended from the high heavens to subjugate the deities of the world by force. For more information on the myth of the handover of the country, please watch the previous videos if you are interested in. Bentenjima, which you can see in front, was apparently about 30 meters offshore from the beach about 50 years ago, but sand has accumulated on the beach over the years, and it is now possible to walk to Bentenjima. Benzaiten was enshrined here before the Edo period, but since the Meiji period, the deity Toyotama Hiko has been enshrined. Then, to prepare for the visit to Izumo Taisha Shrine, let's collect the sand here. Once you collect the sand, please level and clean the ground, as it was before. About 100 meters from Bentenjima to the south, you will see a stone lantern. You can drive from here to Izumo Taisha Shrine, but let's walk along the path where the deities take, from Inasanahama Beach to Umotaisha Shrine, in the month of Kamiarizuki. The path leading east from here is Kamimuka Enamichi. It takes about 15 minutes to reach the big Torii Gate at Seidomari, the entrance to the approach to Izumo Taisha Shrine. The area where Izumo Taisha Shrine is located is called Taishacho, and the word Taisha is used in many places, such as Taisha High School and the disused JR Taisha line. The official name of Izumo Taisha Shrine is Izumo Owashiro, but until the name was changed to Umotaisha in 1871, it was called Kizuki no Owashiro. The Izumo Fudoki, the ancient geographical and cultural records of Izumo province, completed in 733, and the Engishiki shrine list, compiled in 927, also mention Kizuki no Owashiro. The road leading from the intersection of Kizuki is to the left is the old approach to the shrine, known as Omiyadori. Let's continue onwards, along the Kamimuka Enamichi. We reached the second torii of Izumo Taisha Shrine, the big Torii Gate of Seidomari. This area is a hill, and there are many lovely souvenir shops, sweet shops and zenai shops on both sides of the downhill Shinmendori Street. The first Torii Gate, Yugahashi no Otori, can be seen at the end of Shinmendori. Incidentally, it is now 6:30 a.m. There are hardly any worshippers, so the quiet atmosphere of Izumo Taisha Shrine is even more sacred. Let's pass through the Torii Gate at Seidomari. When passing through the Torii Gate, we bow and walk along the edge of the path, as the deities will pass through the middle of the path. The straight downhill path, this is unusual. We visit the Purification Shrine on the right-hand side of the descending path to purify yourself of impurities. The 4 deities are enshrined here. We cross the Horae-no-Hoshi Bridge, the Soga River, which flows below and originates from Mount Yokumo, a forbidden site behind Izumo Taisha Shrine. By crossing this bridge, you are further purged of impurities. Passing through the third Torii Gate, there is a pathway of pine trees. The center of the path is currently impassable due to the protection of the pine roots, so we walk along the edge. Well, Okuninushi no Okami, the deity of Izumo Taisha Shrine, is famous as the deity of marriage. Okuninushi no Okami, also known as Kokurigo to Shiroshimasu Okami, is the deity who governs the unseen world. For this reason, he is believed to bring together various invisible connections. There are also various theories, such as that Okuninushi no Okami got married with many deities in different parts of the country. The Musubi no Goshinzo statue represents a scene from the creation of the country by Okuninushi no Okami, as described in Nihon Shoki, the Chronicles of Japan. Okuninushi no Okami worked together with Sukunohi Kano no Mikoto, but Sukunohi Kano no Mikoto suddenly left just before completing the great and wonderful country. When Okuninushi no Okami was left alone, something appeared in front of him, floating from across the sea with a mysterious light shining on it. And when Okuninushi no Okami asked that light who it was, the light replied, "Because of me, you are able to create a great nation. I am a mysterious spirit, and bring you good fortune. We rinse and purify our hands and mouths at the Tamizu shore." The Kabutoii Gate was donated by Mori Terumoto's grandson, Tsunahiro, and built in 1666. The Kabutoii Gate is very rare and a valuable structure. The bronze statues of a cow and a horse enshrined are called Goshinme and Goshinyu. If you stroke the sacred horse, it brings blessings for childbirth and safe delivery, while the sacred cow brings blessings for improved academic performance. The hall in front of us is the hall of worship, called Hoiden. The main building, called Gohonden, was built in 1744, and it was designated a national treasure in 1952. The Gohonden is 24 meters high. The aristocratic textbook Kuchizusomi, written in 970, lists the three highest buildings of the time as Unta, Wani, and Kyusan. These refer to the Gohonden of Izumo Taisha Shrine, the Daibatsuden of Todaiji Temple, and the Daigokuden Hall of Heiankyo, respectively. It has been interpreted that the Daibatsuden, at the time, had about 45 meters high. It means that the Gohonden of Izumo Taisha Shrine would have been even higher than that. It is also mentioned as much as large building in the Senge document of 1143. In other words, it is described as a huge building with no equal, and although the enormity of the Gohonden can be known in both books, its exact size had not been known. According to the Kizuki no Oroshiro-kyuki Gosengushi, their description in 1892 states that the height of the Gohonden was about 96 meters in the reign of Emperor Keiko, between 71 and 130, and about 48 meters high in the Middle Ages, then about 24 meters, and now 13 meters high. It is hard to imagine that there was a 96-meter high shrine building in ancient times, but from pictures of tall buildings and pillars on ancient pottery excavated from the Inayoshi Sumida antiquity in Tottori Prefecture, it is thought that high buildings did exist in ancient times. And the Gohonden of Izumo Taisha Shrine has collapsed at least 5 times, in 1061, 1109, 1141, 1172 and 1225, and records show that the building was rebuilt each time. Furthermore, the Kanawa Gozo Eisashi is a blueprint of the huge main shrine building drawn between the Kamakuro and Muromachi periods, and handed down by the Izumo Kokuzo Senga family. Shows 9 pillars arranged in the square shape, with 3 small circles at the pillars, and these 3 pillars bound together with metal ring to form one thick pillar, with a diameter of 3 meters. The length of the staircase is also described as 109 meters. However, there has been no conclusive evidence of the existence of the giant Gohonden, other than in document. Time passed, and in 2000 to 2001, 3 gigantic pillars were excavated in the precincts of Izumo Taisha Shrine. They were made of 3 pairs of cedar timbers, each about 1.35 meters in diameter, and the arrangement and structure of the pillars was similar to that of the Kanowo no Gozo Eisoshizu. And the results of radiocarbon isotope dating analysis indicated a high probability that this was the site of the main hole, built in 1248. The actual location, where the huge pillars were excavated, is marked on the ground in front of the Yotsuashimon Gate. We worship toward the Gohanden of Izumo Taisha Shrine from this Yotsuashimon Gate with making bow 2 times, 4 crabs and 1 bow. The deity of Kuninushi no Okami is seated facing left, not front, so from here you worship Kuninushi no Okami from the side. After worshipping from the Yotsuashimon Gate towards the Gohanden, we go around anti-clockwise along the Mizugaki fence. The current precincts of Izumo Taisha Shrine were built around 1667 in the early Edo period, and many buildings from that time still remain. The current Gohanden seen at the back was rebuilt in 1744 and has been made sengu 4 times. Sengu is the process of moving the deities to a new building in order to repair the old building of deity or rebuild the building. Sengu means not only renews the appearance of the shrine buildings, but also revives the power of the deities. While Sengu of Isejingu is called Sotai Sengu, because the entire main shrine is rebuilt every 20 years, Sengu of Izumo Taisha is called Shuzo Sengu, because only the areas that need repairing are repaired every 60 years. In other words, repeated renovations ensure that the buildings from the time of construction are carried over to now. The last time, the Sengu was in 2008, and it took about 11 years to renovate all the shrine buildings, inside and outside the precincts, as well as the treasure house and other buildings. The Gohanden in front of you, built 280 years ago, is 24 meters high, but it is surprising to learn that the previous Gohanden was 2 times higher. The Museum of Izumo Ancient History, adjacent to Izumo Taisha Shrine, is recommended as there are valuable documents and a wooden model of a high-rise Gohanden on display. This Sogo no Yoshiron Shrine Susanoo Mikado, famous for the myth of extermination of the Yamato no Orochi, is located on a higher level, behind the Gohanden. Susanoo Mikado is regarded as the 6th grandfather of Okuninushi no Okami, in other words great-grandfather of great-grandfather, in the Kojiki. And nowadays, the shrine is famous as a place where we can feel the deity's power, so a lot of people visit this Sogo no Yoshiro. The mountain behind Sogo no Yoshiro is called Mount Yakumo, which is off-limit sacred place, but you can directly touch the surface of the mountain from the back of Sogo no Yoshiro. After worshipping at Sogo no Yoshiro, you can exchange the sand, which you have collected in Inasonohama Beach. There are wooden boxes with sand on 3 sides of the shrine, into which you transfer the sand that you have collected and receive new sand from the same boxes. The sand can be put in containers or dishes and placed carefully on all sides of your room, or sprinkled around the house to ward off bad luck. Here is the closest place to the Gohanden of Izumo Taisha. Cute rabbits are also looking up at the Gohanden. After seeing the Gohanden up close, we head west worshipping place. The Gohanden of Izumo Taisha is known as the Taisha Zukuri, one of the oldest styles of shrine architecture you can see in the Tsanin region. The pillars and internal structure are similar to those of a traditional Japanese house, with 9 pillars arranged in the shape of a Japanese kanji character of rice field, and the entrance is located in the right. The internal structure of the Gohanden is divided into upper and lower sections, bounded by the center pillar, and the Goshinzo, the seat of the deity, is located in a small room called the Goneden, which is farthest away from the entrance. And the sacred object of the spirit of Okuninushi no Okami is seated on an octagonal tatami mat in the inner hall and facing west. In other words, when you had worshipped from the Yotsuashimon gate, Okuninoshi no Okami was seated facing to the side, and you were worshipping towards the 5 deities called Gokukuzago-shin, while facing the front. According to the Kojiki, the first deity out of these 5 deities is Omenomi Nakonyushi no Kami, who first appeared in high heaven after the first separation of heaven and earth. And this is a must-visit point, since Okuninoshi no Okami is enshrined towards the west here. The Jukusha, which stands facing east and west across the Gohanden, is a shrine where the deities, who gather in Izumo from all over Japan and stay in October of the lunar calendar. All 19 doors are open for the 7 days that the deities are in residence during the Kami Arisai. At the end of the visit, we head to the Kaguraden Hall on the west side. The Oshi-Menawa of the Kaguraden is one of the largest in Japan, measuring 13.6 meters long, with a maximum 8 meters around and weighing 5.2 tons. The Shi-Menawa at the Hall of Worship, after the Kappa-Torii Gate, is also large, so many people mistake it for that one, but this is the Oshi-Menawa introduced in the guidebooks. We leave the Kaguraden and head back along the fence towards the direction of the Kappa-Torii Gate. Then, we go straight ahead on Shoketori Street for 200 meters, and you will come to the approach to Inachinushi no Yoshiro Auxiliary Shrine of Izumo Taisha Shrine, where increasing number of worshippers visit in recent years. The Inachinushi no Yoshiroen Shrine Kami Musubi no Kami, one of the 3 deities of creation. Kami Musubi no Kami sent his daughter Kisakai and Umukai to revive Okuninoshi no Okami when he was killed by his brothers. And he is famous as the deity who has a close relationship with Okuninoshi no Okami and always looked after him. In addition, Tsukunaki Kono no Mikoto, who created the country together with Okuninoshi no Okami, was the son of Kami Musubi no Kami. In front of the shrine, there is a giant 1,000-year-old muku tree, approximately 17 meters high and 12 meters around its base. Behind the shrine, there was originally a giant stone, which was quarried as stone material for the reconstruction of Izumo Taisha in 1665, and a bronze dagger and a jade jewel of Yayoi were found there. In other words, this place has been worshipped since the Yayoi era. A further 150 meters along Shoketori Street, there is Monoi no Shimizu Spring. This spring is known as sacred water, related to the rituals of Izumo Taisha Shrine, and has been selected as one of Shimano's 100 best waters. The statue represents a scene from the White Rabbit of Inoba, in which the kindly Okuninoshi no Okami extends a helping hand to a rabbit, whose skin has been ripped off by shark. You will also find a rabbit wearing the sumo wrestler's momoshi among the various stone statues of rabbits. We leave Umoteisha Shrine and head back towards Inasanohama Beach. If you are still strong to walk around, we recommend climbing the stairs leading up to the Honosan Park. You can drive up to the top, and there is a parking area for about 5 cars, but be aware that the road is only wide enough for 1 car. Climbing the stairs, and on the way up, there is a pagoda built in honor of Izumo no Okune, and donated by a famous kabuki actor, with many famous inscriptions. At the top, 75 meters above sea level, there is a lookout from which you can see the town of Taisho di Inosunohama Beach, the Sea of Japan and Mount Sanbe. On this day, it was a little hazy due to yellow sand, and we could not see Mount Sanbe, but on another afternoon we could see Mount Sanbe and the sunset over the Sea of Japan. Finally, on the way back to Inosunohama Beach, we stopped at the Kaminomiya and Shimonomiya shrines and Byobo-iwa. The Kaminomiya shrine enshrines Susanoo Mikoto and millions deities. In the month of Kami-Arisai, which is in October of the lunar calendar, this shrine is said to be the place where the deities gather from all over Japan for a meeting called Kami-Hakari, or the meeting of matchmaking. The Shimonomiya enshrine Amaterasu Kami. When you go down an alley to the right from the Shimonomiya, a rock called Byobo-iwa suddenly appears next to a house. Byobo-iwa is said to be the place where Takemikazu Mikoto, who descended from high heaven to Inosunohama Beach, in the midst of the handing over of the land, pressed Okuninushi no Okami to hand over the land. After collecting sand at Inosunohama Beach and setting off, we walked for about 3.5 hours to introduce the recommended route of worship. There are plenty of parking spaces available, so please don't overdo it and visit Izumo Taisha Shrine. Thank you for watching. See you at the next shrine.